In this video, we will listen to data professionals talk about some of the data engineering tools, databases, and data repositories they work with.
The ecosystem of data engineering is very, very vast. We work especially mostly with open source tools. So we work with RDBMS databases like MySQL. We work with NoSQL databases like MongoDB, Cassandra, graph databases like Neo4j. Python is pretty much indispensable. So whatever feature we feel missing in our data engineering space, we first try to use Python to get that into place, and then over a period of time we see if any product can take its place. We also work with tools like Apache Airflow to create data pipelines. We work with tools like Spark for big data processing. We work with Kafka to handle streaming data. We work with Talend for ETL functionality. We also work with tools like Beautiful Soup and Scrappy for web scraping. And we also look at a variety of cloud storages for our archival and then for our daily storage purposes.
Before Coursera, I was in a nonprofit where SQL Server was the data repository, and we use SQL Server integration service as well as Workato to do data integration. And in Coursera, AWS Redshift is our data warehouse, and we use AWS S3 as our data lake. We have an internal tool to do to build our ETL pipeline and schedule our ETL pipeline. But now we are moving to use an open source tool called Apache Airflow to do our data orchestration.
I worked with relational databases such as IBM DB2, PostgreSQL, and Microsoft SQL Server, and I also have exposure to working on NoSQL database such as Cassandra and MongoDB, and I worked on streaming technologies for replication such as WebSphere and also for backend processing by moving the transactional data by using the Kafka queues onto the back office databases. At the same time, I also worked on data engineering tools or data movement tools for moving data from one data source to another. For example, I worked on SSIS by building these data movement packages. At the same time, I also worked on this cool tool called NiFi. I think it's this NiFi is now maintained by Apache Foundation, which is an open source foundation, which I highly recommend looking at some of their projects because they're all open source. The code is open. You can go through the source code and learn a lot about some of these products and even projects. And you can, if you're enthusiastic and have a lot of time on your hands, you can even contribute to some of these projects. I digress, but NiFi can be used to move data between heterogeneous data sources, and I also developed my own scripts such as Shell and Perl and written Java APIs to move data between different applications and vendors.
So most people, myself included, who've done work in data engineering have had to work with a number of databases and tools. Having spent a good part of my data career at IBM, I had to do a lot of work with the IBM DB2 database and later became a product manager for it. But I've also had to work with other databases like MySQL and Postgres. And then as part of my job evolved, I had to pick up skills in big data systems like Hadoop and Spark. So it's important that as a data engineering, a field that continues to evolve, you need to, you need to become a lifelong learner and keep picking up skills that are going to be required for your job and the problems that you're trying to solve. So as long as you're good with data fundamentals, you should be able to quickly pick up these new skills and technologies.
The primary product that I've worked with my entire career is IBM's DB2 on mid-range platforms, so on Linux, Unix, and Windows. To me, this is a great choice in the relational database space. I also work very heavily with AWS products. I've been working with databases on RDS, Microsoft SQL Server. We've done a little bit of MariaDB there. We also do MariaDB outside of that. On our own servers. Those are the primary relational database products that we work with. There are a ton of other tools we work with in order to properly manage those or to manage workflows around those. Of course, GitHub or Git, you have to be familiar with those. Those are integral to any process in a DevOps organization or in most non-DevOps organizations at this point. Using Jenkins, we use Jenkins for a lot of things, to spin up containers, to do maintenance jobs, to manage code deploys. There's a lot of important stuff that we do with Jenkins as well. We use Liquibase. Liquibase is actually excellent. We use it with containers to very easily have some management of the changes that are made to our database schemas.